Hello everyone, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today's Tribute USA. We're so glad to have you here with us today. In this video, we're honoring the incredible legends who have recently left us. These remarkable individuals touched so many lives, and their legacies will live on forever. Before we begin, please support our channel by giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss our future tributes. Your support truly means a lot to us. Now, let's come together to celebrate and remember these unforgettable icons. Let's get started.
He crossed the Iron Curtain with words and emerged with truth. Martin Cruz Smith didn't just write thrillers, he captured the soul of a nation through the eyes of a lone detective. His voice was as sharp as a cold Moscow winter, and his legacy, timeless. On July 11, 2025, the literary world lost one of its grand masters. Martin Cruz Smith, best known for Gorky Park and the legendary Arkady Renko detective series, passed away from complications of Parkinson's disease at a senior living community in San Rafael, California, surrounded by family. He was 82, born November 3, 1942, in Reading, Pennsylvania, as Martin William Smith. He later adopted his grandmother's surname, becoming Martin Cruz Smith. His early life was shaped by a musical father and a mother of Pueblo and Yaqui descent, but his path veered from music into writing, where he found a voice that would soon resonate across the globe. Smith began his career as a journalist before diving into fiction. His early work, crime novels, westerns, and thrillers, was published under various pseudonyms. But everything changed in 1981 with Gorky Park. This breakthrough novel introduced Arkady Renko, a principled Soviet detective navigating corruption, murder, and the waning days of the Cold War. Gorky Park debuted at number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list and won the prestigious Gold Dagger Award. Packed with gritty atmosphere and psychological depth, it reinvented the political thriller and was later adapted into a 1983 film starring William Hurt. Smith went on to write 10 more Renko novels, each chronicling Russia's transformation from the collapse of the Soviet system to the rise of oligarchy under Putin. And finally, The War-Torn Shadows Looming Over Hotel Ukraine 2025. His final work, released shortly before his passing. His honors were many. Mystery Writers of America, Grand Master, Hammett Prize winner for both Havana Bay and Rose, and numerous accolades from the Crime Writers Association. But beyond awards, it was his uncanny ability to bring Moscow to life, its senses, textures, and moral ambiguities that earned him enduring respect. In 2015, Smith was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Rather than retreat, he folded the illness into Arkady Renko's character, transforming frailty into strength and portraying vulnerability with raw honesty and courage. His children recalled how Hotel Ukraine mirrored his personal determination. He could stay at home and surrender as his symptoms got worse. He refused. Critics praised the final novel as a gem, upholding Smith's legacy of deep, complex storytelling where thrill met thought and crime revealed conscience. He is survived by his wife Emily, 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and his brother Jack. Legacy highlights: Gorky Park broke Cold War thriller ground with political nuance. Arkady Renko series spanned Soviet collapse to modern conflict. Character depth wove illness and morality into fiction. Humanizing his detective cultural insight made Russia feel alive. Its setting, a character itself, accolades, Gold Dagger, Hammett Prizes, Grand Master honor, Martin Cruz Smith taught us how to look behind fences into corrupt power, human endurance, and unexpected hope. Through crime, he revealed conscience. His voice echoes through every chilly Renko line, each intricate plot twist, and the hearts of readers who journeyed from Yelena Park to Kyiv. His books were more than stories, they were cultural bridges. Rest in peace, Martin Cruz Smith. Your pen carved truth across borders. Your detective fought both crime and heartache. And your final chapter wasn't written in surrender, but in courage. Ask ChatGPT. He wore black every day, not to mourn, but to send a message. That television deserved elegance, edge, and intimacy. Thierry Ardisson didn't just host shows, he created electric arenas of transparency, tension, and truth. On July 14, 2025, the French media landscape lost one of its boldest voices. Thierry Ardisson, a provocateur, talk show pioneer, and cultural agitator, passed away in Paris at the age of 76 after a courageous battle with liver cancer. Born on January 6, 1949, in Bourgogne-Cross, Ardisson began his creative journey far from the glamour of showbiz. After a successful stint in advertising where he co-founded the agency business and introduced the iconic 8-second ad, he brought his signature flair for disruption to French television in the mid-1980s. He burst onto screens with shows like Lunettes Noires pour Nuits Blanches and Paris Dernier draped in black. Armed with wit, socketed with irony, and determined to disarm his guests. His look wasn't just a gimmick, it was a reset button for French media, signaling something new, sharp, and fearless. In 1998, Artisan launched Tout le monde en parle on France 2. For 8 explosive seasons, he flipped the traditional talk show format, inside-out mixing politicians, celebrities, activists, and anonymous citizens in one charged atmosphere. His infamous question to Michel Rocard at Sucer, C'est Trump, became a lightning rod for national conversation. But Artisan never stopped reinventing. From Paris Premiere to Canal+, from C8 to the future, he continuously evolved. Salut les Terriens became a cultural staple, while his later experiment, Hotel du Temps, used AI to resurrect lost icons like Dalida and Jean Gabin, blurring lines between history and innovation. He was more than a host. Artisan was also an author and producer, backing films like Max, editing and Trevue magazine, and publishing bestsellers including Louis XX and L'Homme Noir, the latter released just 2 months before his death. A collector of roles and ideas, a self-proclaimed royalist and aristocrat of culture, Artisan never lost his fire. In 2024, President Macron awarded him the Légion d'honneur, honoring a man who had reshaped televised dialogue for over 40 years. After his passing, tributes poured in. His wife, journalist Audrey Crespo-Mara, said, "Thierry left as he lived courageous and free, with family by his side until the last breath." The Élysée Palace noted that he helped write the history of French television. Highlights of Thierry Artisan's legacy: innovation, invented provocative formats, pioneered the 8-second ad, and broke the mold of conventional TV. Signature style, always dressed in black. Known for his catchphrases, bonsoir and magneto, surge. Unforgettable interviews, disarmed guests with bold, cutting questions that sparked national debate. Cultural reach spanned decades across multiple networks. Embraced cutting-edge technologies, publishing, and film. Thierry Art once said he set out to break the codes, and with every interview, program, and statement, he did just that. He challenged guests, confronted audiences, and reshaped the very idea of televised conversation. He gave France permission to question, to shock, to laugh, and to think. He taught us that television could be smart, stylish, and even scandalous. Rest in peace, Thierry Artisan. Your microphone may be silent, but your voice, bold, electric, irreverent, will echo in studios, archives, and minds for generations to come. Ask ChatGPT. He stepped onto a brand new mound in 1977 and helped build a legend one start at a time. Jim Clancy wasn't just a workhorse. He was a cornerstone for a franchise finding its footing. He wasn't flashy, but he was unforgettable. On July 14, 2025, the baseball world lost one of its most steadfast figures. Jim Clancy, the right-handed pitcher who anchored the Toronto Blue Jays rotation for over a decade, passed away at the age of 69. His passing marks the end of a quiet but impactful chapter in baseball history. Born December 18, 1955, in Chicago, Clancy's journey to the majors began when he was drafted by the Texas Rangers in 1974. But it was the Toronto Blue Jays, then just an expansion team, that saw something in him. They selected him 6th overall in the 1976 expansion draft. He made his MLB debut on July 26, 1977, becoming one of the franchise's original building blocks. Across 15 seasons, 12 of them with Toronto, Clancy carved out a reputation as one of the most dependable arms of his era. He appeared in 472 games, starting 381 of them, amassing 140 wins and 1,422 strikeouts. He tallied 6 seasons with over 200 innings pitched and 8 campaigns with double-digit wins. In 1982, he reached peak form, earning an All-Star nod with 16 wins, a 3.71 ERA, and leading the majors with 40 starts. He was the opening day starter in both 1981 and 1984, a symbol of consistency and leadership. He helped the Blue Jays clinch their first AL East title in 1985, posting a solid 9-6 record and contributing critical innings during that pennant push. Clancy's name remains etched in the Blue Jays record books. He ranks second all in games started, innings pitched, and complete games, and third in career wins behind only Dave, Steve, and Roy Halladay. After his time in Toronto, Clancy signed with the Houston Astros and eventually joined the Atlanta Braves, where he earned a World Series win in Game 3 of the 1991 Fall Classic, his career closing on the sport's biggest stage. But beyond the numbers, Jim Clancy was known as a quiet competitor, man who led not with words but with reliability. He took the ball every 5th day. No excuses, just work. One team executive once said he would take the ball until his arm fell off. That was Clancy. Steady, humble, fierce in the silence. Tributes poured in following his passing. Former teammates, coaches, and fans remembered a man who embodied the soul of the early Blue Jays, a steady heartbeat for a team finding its identity. His impact on our organization will be remembered forever, said the Blue Jays in a statement. Legacy highlights: MLB career, 15 seasons, 140 wins, over 1,400 strikeouts. 6 seasons of 200 innings. Franchise pillar. Among Blue Jays' all-time leaders in games started, innings pitched, and wins. All-Star honors, 1982 selection with league-leading 40 starts. World Series champion, earned a win in the 1991 World Series with the Atlanta Braves. Respected teammate, known for grit, humility, and unwavering reliability. His was the steady heartbeat behind a budding franchise. His legacy. That resilience is forever part of Blue Jays history. Rest in peace, Jim Clancy. You took the ball when no one else would, and built an enduring legacy of commitment, of heart, and of Blue Jays baseball. Some only chased the spotlight. Others, like David Kaff, light it from within quietly, with heart, wit, and a melody that lingers long after the song ends. On July 11, 2025, the music and film world lost a gentle soul, who left an indelible mark on both screen and stage. David Kaff, aged 79, passed away peacefully in his sleep, as confirmed by his band, Mutual of Alameda's Wild Kingdom. Born David Caffanetti in April 1946 in Folkestone, England, his journey began at the piano bench. Classically trained in his youth before rock and roll stole his heart during his teenage years. By the late 1960s, he co-founded the British progressive rock band Rare Bird, contributing to 5 studio albums. Their haunting anthem Sympathy captured hearts across Europe, reaching number 27 in the UK and selling over 1 million copies worldwide. That is a skilled session musician in the 1970s. Kaff lent his keyboard talents to countless recordings. Chuck Berry's The London Chuck Berry Sessions, where he played on the chart-topping hit My Dingaling. Yet it was in 1984, with the release of Rob Reiner's cult classic mockumentary, This Is Spinal Tap, that his legacy reached a new level of legend. As Viv Savage, the band's spaced-out yet lovable keyboardist, Kaff delivered one of the film's most iconic lines, "Have a good time, all the time." With his perfect deadpan delivery and subtle physical comedy, Kaff made an unforgettable impression in a small but beloved role. That same year, he performed live on Saturday Night Live with Spinal Tap, bringing Viv Savage to life, before gracefully stepping away from the project later that year. In the years that followed, David remained active in music, performing with bands like Oakland's Model Citizens, and later with Mutual of Alameda's Wild Kingdom. His musical passion never faded, and his presence was a constant comfort to those who worked beside him. Bandmates remembered him with warmth. David always had a kind word and a quick wit that would slay you. Then he'd make you smile, doing it. Comedian and Spinal Tap co-star Michael McKean honored him simply, "Rip Dave Kaff." David himself often looked back on the role of Viv Savage with amusement and affection, saying he played the character close to my heart, just a little bit dimmer, although he does not appear in the upcoming Spinal Tap 2. The end continues. His spirit remains etched into the franchise, forever remembered through the original film's final, unforgettable scene. Highlights of David Kaff's legacy. Early years, classically trained pianist turned prog rock pioneer with Rare Bird. 1970s, prolific studio musician. Played on Chuck Berry's chart-topping recordings. 1984, iconic turn as Viv Savage in This Is Spinal Tap, including live performance on SNL. Later career continued playing with numerous bands. Admired collaborator and creative soul. Personal impact, remembered as witty, generous, and kinda quiet force with a joyful spirit. David Kaff's music lived in the notes, and in the spaces between them. His presence may have been subtle, but his impact was seismic. Today, we remember not just a musician or actor, but a gentle heart whose philosophy to have a good time all the time still rings true. Rest in peace, David Kaff. Your melody drifts on, quiet, warm, unforgettable. He turned concrete into icons, steel into legends. David Addix didn't just build public arts, he built the visual soul of Texas. With every oversized bust and colossal figure, he invited us to pause, reflect, and witness history in living form. On July 13, 2025, the art world lost one of its greatest public prophets. David Pryor Addix, the American modernist sculptor and painter whose monumental works became symbols of civic pride and cultural memory, passed away at the age of 98. Born on January 19, 1927, in Huntsville, Texas, Addix grew up in modest surroundings. He first pursued academics, earning a degree in math and physics before answering the call of creativity. His artistic path led him to France, where he studied under the renowned modernist Fernand Léger. The European training forever shaped his eye for bold forms, vibrant color, and public scale. Upon returning to Texas, Addix taught at the University of Texas at Austin and began to make his mark with large-scale paintings and murals. But it wasn't until 1983, at the age of 56, that he turned to sculpture and changed the Texas skyline forever. His first major piece, Virtuoso, a towering 36-foot concrete figure of a cellist, was installed in downtown Houston. It was unlike anything the city had ever seen. Playful, elegant, surreal, it marked the beginning of Addix's signature contribution to American public art. Then came a tribute to courage. the breathtaking 67-foot statue of Sam Houston. Completed in 1994, standing sentinel beside I-45 in Huntsville, the work quickly became a landmark, greeting travelers with Texas pride and historical gravitas. Over the years, Addicts created dozens of monumental works, statues of the Beatles, the joyful, colorful, "We Love Houston" sign, and his most ambitious, project a collection of 43 presidential busts, each over 18 feet tall. These imposing likenesses toured President's Park before eventually finding new homes. Their journey, as epic as the stories they represent, Addicts' style was unmistakable, a fusion of modernist abstraction and heartfelt tribute. His form stretched skyward, often with cubist flair, while remaining deeply grounded in the people and places they honored. A chance meeting with Salvador Dali once added even more magic to his artistic worldview. Even in his 90s, Addicts remained an active visionary. He continued designing, dreaming, and placing his works through the Addicts Art Public Art Legacy program. After suffering a stroke in late 2024, he still oversaw installations and planning with quiet determination and grace. His passing leaves behind not only concrete and bronze but wonder, reflection, and joy. As his daughter Mary Addicts Van Pelt once said, his goal was to create something that will last beyond him. And he did. From courthouse lawns to urban intersections, his art will outlive concrete and memory alike. Legacy highlights: early career, painter, muralist, and student of Fernand Léger. Sculpture breakthrough, created Virtuoso, 1983, and a tribute to Courage, 1994. Iconic public sculptures. Presidential busts, designed 43 massive presidential heads, merging history with modern artistry. Signature style: bold, modernist forms blended with accessible public symbolism. Lifelong creativity remained artistically active into his 90s, mentoring and building a legacy program. Each statue is a bridge between past and present, between city and soul. David Addicts is survived by his daughter Mary, his longtime partner Linda Wiley, and a towering legacy, one that quite literally rises across Texas and beyond. Rest in peace, David Addicts. Your art was outsized, but your vision was universal. They called him a bridge between college glory and pro possibility, between protest and progress. Bill Chamberlain didn't steal headlines, but he made history. On July 14, 2025, the basketball community mourned the passing of Bill Chamberlain, the former UNC standout who played professionally in both the ABA and NBA. He was 75 years old. His death closes the final chapter on a life lived in jerseys, on hardwood courts, and with quiet honor. Born December 16, 1949. In Brookville, New York, Chamberlain's basketball journey began at Long Island Lutheran High School, where he quickly rose as a standout talent. He then joined the University of North Carolina from 1969 to 1972, becoming only the second black scholarship player under Coach Dean Smith, a position that extended far beyond basketball. Standing 6'6", Chamberlain brought athleticism, intelligence, and composure to the court. He earned second-team All-ACC honors in 1972 and played a crucial role in UNC's deep NIT tournament run that season. He finished his college career with averages of 12.4 points and 6.2 rebounds per game, numbers that spoke to consistency and grit. But beyond the stats, Chamberlain was a cultural shift. He helped integrate one of college basketball's most storied programs, not with controversy, but with quiet courage. In the 1972 NBA draft, he was selected by the Golden State Warriors. In the third round, he also drew attention from the ABA's Carolina Cougars and ultimately chose the professional path. Beginning his career with the Memphis Tams, he played briefly for the Kentucky Colonels before joining the Phoenix Suns in 1973, where he averaged 5.5 points, 2.9 rebounds, and 1.3 assists over 28 games. By 1974, Chamberlain had concluded his 3-year professional career, though his time in the pros was short. It reflected the tenacity of a player navigating the turbulent waters of the ABA-NBA merger era. He was never a household name, but he was the kind of player who held the game together with toughness, team-first play, and humility. Off the court, Chamberlain continued to make an impact, mentoring young players, coaching, and standing as a living symbol of progress at UNC. He represented what it meant to lead with quiet strength, and set an example without needing applause. Tributes came from those who knew him best. A former Tar Heel teammate shared, "Bill wasn't the loudest on the court, but he was the hardest, a player who made it about team, hustle, and heart." And from the North Carolina program, he played at a time of change. Bill's quiet grace spoke volumes on and off the court. Legacy highlights: college pioneer, one of UNC's first black scholarship athletes under Dean Smith. Pro career, played in both ABA and NBA during a transformative era. Cultural impact helped break barriers in Southern college basketball. Mentorship continued, giving back through coaching and guidance. Character, defined by integrity, grit, and leadership. Bill Chamberlain wasn't defined by fame but by character. He is survived by his family, former teammates, students, and fans, those who recognized in him a model of dignity and dedication. Rest in peace, Bill Chamberlain. Your numbers were modest, but your influence was mighty. You played every possession. You broke silent barriers. And in every step you took from Brookville to Chapel Hill, Memphis to Phoenix, you paved the way. He built fantasy from film stock, painted revolution with the camera, and shaped Soviet cinema with boundless imagination. Alexander Mitta didn't just tell stories, he brewed icons, crafted worlds, and ushered generations into new ways of seeing. On July 14, 2025, the cinematic world in Russia and beyond mourned the loss of a true visionary, Alexander Naumovich Mitta, born March 28, 1933, in Moscow. Passed away at 92, following a stroke and complications from heart and neurological conditions. A graduate of VGIK in 1960, Mitta began his creative journey as a cartoonist before turning to film, a pivot that would forever transform Soviet cinema. His early works, such as My Friend Kolka, 1961, and They're Calling, Open the Door, 1965, marked a sensitive new wave in youth-centered storytelling. But it was Shine, My Star, 1970, a lyrical parable set during the Russian Revolution that first revealed his poetic, avant-garde vision. Then came Aircrew, 1979, the first Soviet disaster film, where Mitta fused technical audacity with emotional gravity in a production that captivated millions. In 1983, he pushed boundaries further with the story of Voyages, a surreal, haunting, fantasy adventure that wove folklore and psychological depth into a genre rarely touched in Soviet cinema. His later films, like A Step, 1988, which examined post-war epidemics, and Lost in Siberia, 1991, a Soviet-British co-production nominated for a Golden Globe, explored historical trauma and resilience with piercing intensity. Mitta's final film, Chagall Malevich, 2013, was a tribute to two titans of Russian modern art. It bridged cinema and painting, portraying the creative tensions and luminous visions of its subjects with elegance and complexity. Beyond the director's chair, Mitta taught and mentored a new generation of filmmakers. He founded a respected film school in the 2000s and served as a juror at international festivals, including Berlin. In 2013, he was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at Kinetover. Over more than 50 years, Mitta directed more than 15 films, received numerous state honors, and earned the title of People's Artist of Russia. His influence touched every corner of Soviet and post-Soviet cinematic life. But even more than his achievements, it was the soul of his work that endured. His life mirrored his films, layered, resonant, filled with invention and emotion. A man of technical curiosity, narrative boldness, and deep humanism, Mitta never settled. Even in his final years, despite strokes, heart ailments, and cancer, he remained creatively active, shaping stories, guiding voices, and igniting minds. After his passing, tributes flooded in from artists, students, and filmmakers alike. His son, Evgeny Mitta, shared simply, "My dear dad passed away today. We love, we grieve." Film circles remembered him as a master innovator and architect of Soviet visual identity, and a fearless dreamer who dared to turn myth, history, and emotion into celluloid. Legacy highlights: genre innovation, introduced the catastrophe, drama, Aircrew, adult fantasy, The Story of Voyages, and art biopic, Chagall Malevich. International reach, co-produced with Britain, Lost in Siberia, juror at Berlin, lifetime honoree at Kinetover. Mentorship and education, founded a film school, guiding future generations of Russian directors. Artistic courage, merged Soviet sensibility with visual experimentation and emotional truth. Alexander Mitta didn't just direct films, he orchestrated visions. He challenged norms, celebrated dreamers, and showed us cinema as art, as adventure, as soul. He is survived by his son, Evgeny, his widow, Lilia Mayarova, and a living legacy of viewers, creators, and students who continue to walk the dreamscapes he first envisioned. Rest in peace, Alexander Mitta. Your frames still breathe, your stories still stir, and your vision, bold and boundless, still dances across every screen.